much, everyone, for coming. I'll make some short presentation and show a couple of our films from the campaign, actually, and hopefully open up for questions. The main point I wanted to make to this audience today is that I think one of the interesting things about our campaign was that we produced new types of content for new audiences, and that we tried to break out of the usual political type of content and conversation with our supporters. So I wanted to show one video that is a good example, I think, of telling the story of the campaign.
This election isn't going to be about changing parties. It's going to be about living for every other American. That's what gives me hope.
I don't want a nation just for me. I want a nation for everybody.
Can't walk away and not feel hope and not feel that glimmer of light again.
I don't think I was ever this interested in the voting process.
The first time I've ever felt compelled to be part of a movement such as this.
I want to get them back involved in this process. The grassroots level first, and then let it go. That's going to make me happy.
Organizing ourselves. The campaign helps us. They're there to help us, but we're organizing ourselves.
It is the relationship that we have with one another that is our strength.
I think for a long time I had given up that we could work together to make change in this country.
Well, I've been involved in politics, I've seen politicians, but this is different.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is no ordinary time. This is no ordinary election. And this may be our last chance to reclaim the America we love.
We are one people. We are one nation. And together we will begin the next great chapter in the American story with words that will ring from coast to coast, from sea to shining sea. Yes, we can.
So, needless to say, John McCain doesn't have a video like that. And that's in part because they chose to resource the new media shop differently, but in part also because that's not the audience that they were focused on. They didn't spend time talking to their supporters. And so when we started out the campaign, we actually had a theory about content and the communications that a campaign could produce that we thought people weren't focused on the right audiences typically in campaigns. So political campaigns and political parties typically think about their audience as either the press and creating press releases and earned media events and things to generate stories from reporters, or they think about content as targeted towards undecided voters. And in my shop, in the new media department, we had a theory that, well, this audience of our supporters and all the people who are already with us, but who need motivation and a relationship with the campaign, that was being underserved. And so we got into the content business. Now, new media was an interesting part of the campaign because we weren't in charge of the technology. We were charged with doing the content and communications and organizing and fundraising all through the digital space. And so this relationship with our supporters was our primary responsibility in terms of the web. And so we got into the content business by not hiring the typical political type people. And so we hired journalists to produce the content for our website. So the video like that you saw, and I'll show a couple of others, but also the text content that we produced in terms of the writing was produced by journalists. We hired a journalist away from a magazine who wrote feature magazine articles, and we hired a documentary filmmaker who had made documentaries for CNN and actually won an Emmy for making documentaries there. And so we brought them in-house to tell these stories. And so the message that I hope to take away for you guys is that, you know, I know for me and for actually the people that we hired and all the people who worked on content on our campaign was that you grow up and you go through, you know, school like this or programs or have jobs writing or making films or being part of that, and often you feel like you have to make a choice between you know, pursuing the craft of storytelling and the art of what you're passionate about, or you have to choose that or to go do something and make a difference and work in politics or work with NGOs or nonprofits and things like that. And the message that I think to take away from our campaign, from a content and communication side, is that you can do both. And in fact, the causes that you care about, whether it's a political party or a candidate or an NGO or nonprofit, will benefit from having smart, talented, capable people who are schooled in the art and craft of storytelling participate in a meaningful and full-time kind of way in their organizations, because too many organizations neglect that relationship. So the kinds of content we produce, that's a good example of one that we produced in collaboration with our supporters. So all of those photos that you saw woven in there were actually sent to us remotely by supporters. We said, all right, we'd like you to take some pictures, and we gave some simple instructions, and that was the result. We also spent a lot of time, you know, the thing missing from that video is Barack Obama. And so we spent time, like that video and other videos, telling the story of our supporters. We posted over 2,000 clips to our YouTube account over the course of the 22 months of the campaign. A small minority of them feature Barack Obama. We spent an incredible amount of time and energy and staff telling the story of our supporters and their participation in the campaign. So there's another one I wanted to show. This is a volunteer in Colorado who we decided to profile because he actually